Hey, thanks for joining me as I make a quick 30-minute chicken noodle soup, homemade from scratch. It's the best chicken noodle soup we've had. I made a couple recipes and we absolutely love this one. This recipe is from Avery Cooks and I am gonna go ahead and do it all here for you. Everything is linked on the blog, Allie's Light, which should be right there. And should be there at allieslight.com is where you'll find all the information. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna double this recipe because in my family we need all the leftovers if we have any, but sometimes we just eat it all up. So I'm gonna go ahead and make 2 cups instead of 1 cup of carrots. And so I did most of it before this, but I'm gonna go ahead and just peel the carrots. So what I found is for a cup for carrots this size, it's about 2.5. So we're doing a total of 5 of these carrots. And after I peel it, I cut off the ends. And it says to thinly slice them. So we're gonna go ahead and, if you put the nose of your blade down and just kind of rock it like that, you can get it pretty thin. And then when I get to the point where it gets bigger, I like to cut it in half because this is supposed to be more bite-sized pieces, is how I like to do it. So now they're half circles and you line them up like that, and then you keep going. All right, so that will be about, see if I get my Pyrex in here. Here's my Pyrex. Put it all in here because I'm measuring it. 2 cups of carrots. And I like using the actual carrots. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're way more flavorful than the fun-sized baby carrots. So 2 cups of carrots right here. And then we are going to add in our celery. So celery, it's about the same, I would assume, but we'll see. Take it off, and we're gonna wash it. And then we're gonna chop it. So I have washed off 4. So we'll see if 5 celeries work the same. And chicken noodle soup is one of those recipes in our home where we love a good homemade lunch on the weekends or after church, especially on a rainy, cold day. Love us some soup. And this is our very favorite recipe. So make sure I have these ingredients on hand because they are so delicious. Okay, when I get down toward, you can see, the white part of it, or the whiter part of it, I'm gonna stop cutting like this. And I'm gonna slice them in half. So we're going to put all this in the Pyrex right now. See if we can get it all in there. So, and then we're going to keep cutting down the celery stalks so that they are more bite-sized. Okay, so this is looking like it's 3, now we're at 3 cup mark, so we're probably gonna need more than 5 celery stalks. So I don't know if you can see, that's all just dirty up here. So I'm gonna cut all that off because although I like it organic, I don't want it dirty. So cut off the yucky parts and then you cut it again. So that's more of like a bite-sized portion. So we're gonna do this, and then I might do a few more. I will do a few more actually so that it's equal amounts of celery, but I'm gonna hyperlapse this since you already know how I do it, and then I will come back here. Okay, got all of the carrots and the celery. And again, we're doubling the recipe, so this is 4 cups total instead of 2. And we are gonna do the onions next. So it says 1 cup of onion, so that's just about 1 of each is what I use. So we're gonna go ahead and chop these up and put them in this Pyrex. And the way I chop onions, this one's got a little grower coming out. But we're using everything that we have, and it is still a great onion. So we're going to cut off the ends. Let's move this Pyrex for a minute. And cut it in half. So when I cut it in half, I find this little tiny circle. Can you see it? There we go. Like block the sun with my blade. That little tiny circle right here, I aim to cut through the bullseye. Like that. Anyway. And then I've said it before that I like to not just peel out this dried colored part, but also the very next layer. Because sometimes when you cook or bake or whatever, or put it in the oven, it will still be harder and you want it to be a nice, yummy consistency. So we're gonna take off those 2 layers, the obviously dried one and the very next layer. And now we have 2 halves. When you're cutting, you want to cut with the flat sides down. So we're gonna put these half domes this way, and we're going to, let's see, what does it say? It says diced small. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off where the rainbow is, so it grows in layers like this. So we're gonna go this way, and I like to hold it in place when I cut because, oh, you guys are gonna watch me cry. Because I like to cut super uniform and it's just easier, I promise. So maybe I might stop and redo this so you can see it. Maybe this is better because it's more of like an aerial view looking down, although when I shade it, it's better. Sorry guys, wish I had a cameraman, but I don't. Here we go. So we're gonna go down this way, and then we're gonna go and kind of reform the onion like it started. So we're gonna push it all together, and then we're gonna turn it this way. And then this will be our diced. We're making a super tight grid, like that. And you kind of hold everything together with your fingers, and you wanna come down on it. So it is important to have a sharp blade. Just keep chopping. Now, if there are some stragglers, chop those up. And the beauty of homemade is nothing is perfect, which is why I can show you how to do things. Because if you're looking for perfection, it's not here. But if you're looking for yummy, I can pretty much show you how to get that. So it ends up being, I'm gonna take this off and show you. That is how diced it is. Pretty tiny. And that's just with the rainbow, and then switch the other way. So I'm gonna do the same for this half, and then I'm gonna do this as well, and then I will jump back on here. Okay, so depending on how big your onions are, I thought it would take 2. Turns out it takes 1.5 to get me to the 2 cup mark. So we're gonna stop, and I will save this for something else. And before we get to the cooktop, I want to make sure everything is prepped, because one of the worst things is when you're ready to grab for the next ingredient, it's not prepped yet. So we're gonna go ahead and prep the chicken right now. So the chicken is store-bought rotisserie chicken, just like this. It has been in our refrigerator for a few days, so it is cold. I always like to work with rotisserie chicken right when it comes home, and it's not hot, but it's still warm, because it just is easier to work with. But this is what we have to work with, so we'll just do that. So I mainly like the white meat when it comes to chicken noodle soup. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this chicken and I'm cutting it straight down the middle. And then that's separating the breasts, chicken breasts, and then I'm gonna just dig my hands in there. I'm gonna pull it all out, and I'm gonna start just chopping it all up. Now, if it was hot, I would just shred it with forks, but since it's pretty just tight because it's cold, I'm gonna just chop it up. So the recipe calls for, where is the chicken? 2 cups of shredded cooked chicken, but since I'm doubling it, we're gonna probably use this entire bird. So I'm gonna fast forward this so you don't wait that long, but I'm gonna hyperlapse this and I will come right back. Okay, chicken pile right here. This is the carcass, just bones at this point. I'm gonna throw it in the trash. And actually, I'm gonna use the other side of this to collect the rest of my trash and get rid of it now. All the trash you can't see on the side right here. All my peelings and yeah, leftover stuff, ends of the carrots, dirty parts of the celery, all that stuff. We're just gonna go ahead and clean this work area and move on to cutting up this chicken. All right, now this container that I just did all of the little extra things in, I emptied it and I'm gonna save it to put this chicken in until I'm ready to cook it on the stovetop. So what I'm gonna do now, like I said before, doing this with the cold chicken, I would 100% highly recommend you do this right when you bring it home from the store. It's a little more motivating to do it too once you've already done some of the work. It makes the process go by a little bit easier, but if it's cold, it's still doable. You just gotta work a little more. They say that your hands are the best kitchen tools, and they definitely were. But I was like grabbing that meat. Okay, so I'm just kind of cutting them into bite-sized chunks, size pieces. I'm gonna go ahead and just start putting them in here. And unless you want to watch me do a bunch of chicken chunk cutting, I think I better speed this up for you, and I will once again meet you back here when this is all chopped up. Okay, so chicken's all cut up. This is how much chicken we get, and if it ends up being too much, we can save it for something else later. Chicken enchiladas, chicken quesadillas, whatever. So I have the chicken, I have the veggies, and we are gonna head over to the stovetop now. Okay, I did get really excited. I forgot about the herbs. So I use fresh whenever possible, and we do have an herb garden outside, and so I have fresh thyme available as well as fresh oregano. So this recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of fresh thyme. So we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of fresh thyme, and then it says a 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano. So we're gonna go ahead and do the 2 teaspoons of thyme now. So if you haven't learned this trick, this is the best trick. So when you're mincing herbs, you don't want to mince the stem, just the leaf. So a trick I learned is if you hold the top and you take your finger and you just slide it down the stick, then you get all the leaves, if you can see that. So, best trick ever. That way you're not like, he loves me, he loves me not picking all the way down. And it just makes everything go faster. And then for the little bits, you can just do your best at the ends. But yeah, you just slide it down and start to mince. I'll do this one more time. Slide it down all the way. So I still have these little branches, but that is mainly good. Now, if there's a little stick in there, no one's gonna die. Your flavor's not gonna be off. It's just that you mainly want leaves. So that is a helpful trick I learned. Let's do it again. Take it. It's almost very satisfying. Like all that work eliminated just for the stick to be gone and all the leaves to get eaten. So here we go again. And it works better for some herbs than others, but this is definitely one of those because, I mean, with thyme leaves, there are so many leaves on the stick. And so want to do our best to get the stick, eliminate the stick. So it's about 2 teaspoons is like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 twigs. 4 or 5 twigs worth. And then we're gonna mince these up, but I'm also gonna do some oregano. So I'm not like exactly measuring here, but just kind of eyeballing how many teaspoons it would be. And so we want to double the time for the oregano. So here I'm just getting the very ends. I'm gonna try the sliding technique on the oregano. Didn't work for that one. Let's see about the next one. Luckily, these are bigger leaves anyway, so if I have to pick them off, it won't take me all day like the thyme leaves. Okay, try this again. Well, that one worked. All right, maybe a little bit more. Get the tops off some. There. All right. Get my knife. I cleaned it off from the chicken. Just to start off fresh, and I'm going to lower this so you can see me chop them up. Here we go. So I keep my hand over the blade for stability, otherwise it's not like wobbling everywhere, and wait closer to the nose. And I have another fun trick I learned, all from the Food Network, because I love the Food Network just to watch it. Oh, found a little stick. Just love to watch it. Okay, clean this off. Not that it really matters, but... So another trick I learned when doing herbs is if the leaves are big enough, you can do your very best, I'm like so excited, to roll them together. Like, roll them together. I mean, you can't even see it because I'm rolling them so tight, like this. And then you can just slice it this way and remove your fingers, be very careful, as you go. And it gets them all in there. Now the other option would be to do what I'm gonna do next anyway, but I got a lot of them pretty well minced in there. I'm gonna go like this afterwards. You could do this and just kind of like all over the board guess and hope that they all get hit by your knife, but I like that technique because it's really well minced. And if you look down at the board, this is pretty well minced here, and it started out like this. So, pretty good technique. Okay, now we're gonna go to the stovetop, and now we're gonna start the really fun part where it starts to smell really good and it's almost done. All right, so I'm gonna turn on the heat to medium, and I have a big wooden spoon and my olive oil. So It says 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Again, we're doubling it, so we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. Really enough to just kind of coat the bottom of this. And I just guessed a couple of swirls for each tablespoon. You can always add more. All right, so we're gonna do the carrots and the celery, which we already prepped. We're gonna enter that in once I feel like it's gotten a little bit hot. And then we're going to add in the onion and the garlic. And if you remember, garlic press, they're awesome. I love it because your hands will smell like garlic for a very long time after you touch garlic. And if you use a toothpick, you can eliminate touching it at all. So I think it's pretty warm. We're gonna add our carrots and celery. In the sink. And stir it a bit. And then we're gonna add in some onion. Now looking at this, I should have used my bigger pot. So that was a semi-fail. But I think we're gonna make it fit just fine. Actually not, I'm gonna switch. All right, I switched angles just so that you could hopefully see everything a little bit better. Now it's time to add the garlic. So I'm gonna get out my garlic press and put in some garlic. This big one probably has like enough for 2. And since it's for 2 cloves of garlic each, there we go. I'm gonna start with this one. Then I'm gonna use my toothpick and scrape it off. Pretty nifty. And then, stir that in a bit. Take the temperature down a little bit. And then I'm gonna open it up and scrape this out and do it again. Because if I scrape it out, then I don't have to touch it. All right, let's do this again with another big chunk. All right, here we go. And toothpick, scraping it off. All right. All right, we're gonna cook that for a couple minutes, and then we're gonna move on to our chicken broth and the herbs that we just mixed and all the other fun stuff. So here we go. We're gonna let it cook for a couple minutes and I'll be right back. All right, just about ready. So what I do is I use boxes of chicken broth just like this. And it calls for 8 cups. So that means we're gonna start off with 4 of these. And usually I need a little bit extra because I like it to have broth, and sometimes the noodles will suck up all the broth. So here we go, we're gonna start off with this. Pour it right in. There's 1 and 2. It's a good thing I changed the bigger pot. It had an overflow problem for sure. All right, 3. And we're doing it like this because we doubled it. All right, number 4. All All right, so we're gonna let this heat up to a boil. So we're gonna go ahead and add in 4 bay leaves while that's boiling, getting boiled. So these are from an actual tree. My mom just took these bay leaves off of a bay leaf tree and then just washed them and dried them. And they work great. So bay leaves, 4 bay leaves. Starts to get going. Then after the bay leaves, we want to do the thyme and oregano that we chopped. So that's back here. Get the sticks off my cutting board. And we're gonna take this and we're just going to scrape it in. And then we're gonna wipe the blade off. Because we want it all. Right? Okay, pretty good. And then we're gonna stir it up. We're gonna increase the temperature to like a medium high to get that going. And then it says pepper. It says a teaspoon of pepper, but I don't like to overdo it on the pepper. So I'm probably just gonna do maybe a dozen shakes on here, or twists. Maybe 2 more for good luck. Or 3. 3 is a lucky number. All right. So that is not measured well at all, but I promise you this is going to be so tasty. All right, once it comes to a boil, it says allow mixture to boil for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to add in our egg noodles. So I like to have the extra wide egg noodles, and I just keep them in a jar. And it says 12 ounces. So again, we're doubling it. So what I will probably do is just dump this whole thing in there. And even with it sucking up, so that the noodles will suck up some of the broth, I think we're gonna be okay because of the portions we have. But really it's more about how does it look when it's done than it is about did we measure it correctly? Because you can tell by taking a bite of something if you need a little more carrot, a little more noodle, you can kind of predict that when we're here. And so that's kind of how I measure sometimes. And then, were we supposed to put the chicken in or not yet? Nope. Chicken comes after the noodles. So we are gonna let this come to boil, and once it boils, after 5 minutes, I'm gonna add the noodles. Okay, we are boiling here, and so now we're gonna go ahead and add our noodles, all of it. And take my spoon and stir it up. This is starting to look really good. And then we're gonna add the chicken after this boils for 10 minutes. So we're gonna let this sit, and then we will add our chicken. Okay, so the noodles have been boiling for 10 minutes. We're gonna add our chicken, and like I said, because I doubled the entire bird in there. And plus, I have some boys in my family who love meat, so can't skimp on that. So we're gonna stir this in, and then that looks like a very meaty chicken noodle soup. And then this is the secret I have found in chicken noodle soup. It brightens the flavor. Adding a couple tablespoons of lemon is really gonna bring everything together and brighten it up, and it just tastes so good. You wouldn't think it, but it does. So I'm gonna add in a half a lemon because we are doubling it up. Catch some seeds while I'm at it. And then we're gonna let it boil for 2 minutes, and then we're gonna taste and see if it needs salt or pepper, or just in that way. And then we should be good to go. All right. So 2 minutes. Actually, before the 2 minutes, stop. I forgot parsley. So I chopped up while we waited 10 minutes to for the noodles to cook. I chopped up a couple of tablespoons of parsley, and so we're gonna add that to this for the 2 minutes, and all those flavors should go really well together. So we'll give it a quick stir. It really adds color too. That bright green at the end, so pretty. I'm gonna let that cook for 2 minutes. Okay, it's been 2 minutes. I'm gonna turn down the heat, and we are going to taste it now that it's boiling hot. What I'm looking for is to see if I need to add any salt or anything else. So, super hot. It's boiling hot. It's pretty good. It just needs a little more salt. Or we haven't added any salt, but I would add salt. So I'm gonna take, for a double recipe, I'll probably add like a teaspoon, maybe, and spread it. And that should do it. Now it's going to be fresh and ready with some bread. We are done. I wish you could smell this. It is so good. All right. And that is it. Chicken noodle soup, homemade. And it is fresh, piping hot, and so good with some bread, homemade bread. I can show you another day, but this is it. Hope you guys enjoy it. You like it, bud? Yummy.